15. I woke up that night realizing something. Tina wakes up at her apartment, having gone home wanting to see a familiar place after all the crazy recently. Her place was still messed up, and she doesn't remember setting up the heavy curtains like they are right now. Did she remember last night? Was it last night? The crazy stuff happening, the argument with Z, she wasn't sure if she understood or not. She was still dazed from everything going on, and she was still low on blood. She didn't know any phone numbers to call, or did she? Her cell was charging next to her bed. She checks through and sees Z as one of her contacts. She starts to call it. It goes right to voicemail. Z, can we talk? I need some help, I can't be let go without. She feels something pressed against her back. Oh my plaything, I couldn't let you alone for long. She hears loud purrs like a cat, like a predator panther. You will come with me, we will have so much fun together. Tina pushes forward and spins, sitting on the bed, as she gets forced down onto it, shoulder pressed down. My, Tina, you will help me build more of a family, and we will begin our own group. She feels more of a presence, more people are in the room, 4 appear from nowhere. Mel is it? The Fang member who created Tina gets up, realizing her mistake. Well, that just isn't fair, is it? She asks rhetorically.
You willing to tell us what we need to know?
One person she doesn't know asks her. She gauges her situation and knows she isn't able to get away. I will greet the sun or dance in a fire before I give up my master. Your pitiful understanding of torture will not break me, and you will never find your friend. She has much to teach us.
We'll see, Missy.
A gun, 2 swords, and a stake are drawn. You will never be able to. Her words are caught in her throat as a stake is driven into her chest quicker than most eyes would be able to see.
Hey Tina, you okay?
Zukale walks into the room, looking in on her.
We certainly hoped she wouldn't just try to kill you.
He said, smiling.
We needed her, or we need you.
She looks at him in disgust. You used me as bait. Z answers.
Not that it matters. Look. You can help us. She made you, meaning that you instinctively can learn her ability to change muscle and bone, like she could. We are doubting the wolves can help themselves. If they could naturally heal it, their body would have beforehand. Since we have her as a hostage, that will be good as a just in case, but she is much more likely to mess up the wolf more than help them. I'll help you over time. You need to learn this stuff so that when the wolves come, we can bargain for you to help. You will get some mega capital from them, and they won't get angry with us. You'll also get some favors from us. You won't want for anything till we can get you set on your feet. Trust me, it will be the best deal you'll get in a while.
Tina scorns him. What, you think I'll just take your so-called offer? You used me to try to get to her. She could have ripped my head off for siding with you. She could have been able to get away. She could have. Z stops her argument.
Sheesh, you objected to doing it nicely the first time. I figured if you had another chance to think it over.
She looks at him, as the rest of them shy away from the argument. The first time. What do you mean the first time? Zant is another in the room, and she looks over at Zook. You just get women in general, don't you? Just hush. Z doesn't understand why she is so upset, but he shuts his mouth for Zant. Tina, Zant says, look, here is your master, staked on your floor. If you want, you can stay with me and not him, but it would help us if you did this. We will help you get acclimated to your change in your new life, and I can get you a job in one of my companies, whatever you might want to do. Free place to stay, blood, and any cash you need to get around, and why not a bonus just to learn this stuff, say 50. Tina smiles and replies, 50 isn't enough too, Zant counters, fine, 100 grand then. Tina's eyes widen, did you say grand, as in thousand? I thought you meant $50. Zant giggles, oh honey, that wouldn't even be considered walking around money for me. You heard me say, company's right. Plural. We will hold your maker till we might need her, but we will have her watched around the clock and she will never be released. If you want to strap her to a post to greet the sun, when we don't need her, Tina shakes her head, I never want to be near her again. Zant nods, very well, will you please help us? The wolves will probably be back to demand our help in the near future. Their friend has changed, and you might be able to remove those spikes from their body and get them back to normal. Come on. Zant wraps her single arm that is left. If you learn how to do this as well, maybe you can figure out how to give me an arm back. If you do this, believe me, I would reward you well. Paul looks over at Z, gives the back of his head a slap.
That is how you talk to a woman? You are terrible.
Zukail shrugs his shoulders, and leaves with everyone. The blood power to manipulate bone and muscle is unknown to their organization, or at least no one stood up admitting that they knew of it if they did. This is very difficult for Tina to try to build and learn. She had no point of reference, and it was not a naturally known thing most vampires knew. She was unable to gauge how to start, or the steps to learn the next strengths within the blood power, so she spoke to Zant to ask if she can get some instruction from her maker, Mel. However, she did never want to see her again in case she might be manipulated by her maker. She didn't want to hear her voice or see her face, so she was hoping someone else could help. Zant calls around, and no one matched the possibilities of getting the information from her maker from the Fang to get some instructions on how to help Tina other than Zukail. For a basic favor from Zant and Tina, he said he would help get the needed information, which was accepted by both of them, from Tina with a little agitation. The woman known as Mel was still staked and blindfolded in one of Zant's basements, and Z was taken down there where she was kept. She was laid down on a metal table. There were also straps on her neck, arms, legs, and chest, very sturdy to keep her on the table, but there were other instruments around to possibly bring up things to chat about. Zook took out the stake and she started to heal the damage to her chest.
Now, you shouldn't waste the blood on that, we are just getting started.
Z takes off his beige coat and leaves it near the door out. The woman answers, "Where am I? What is going on?"
You have a few options here, lady. You can either help me out, or you will regret it if you do not.
You are weak-blooded and weak-willed. You can do nothing to me that I have not done to another, and cannot withstand myself. Z pulled out his blood power ability to attempt to manipulate her mind, taking off her blindfold for a short time.
Tell us how to teach Tina how to learn the blood power to manipulate muscle and bone.
Her reply is with a smile. Haha, that is what this is about. No. She is unable to move as the stake enters her chest again. She rumbled from the piece of wood entering her chest, but the staking did not take. Zook shrugged, and pulled it out. Since she still was unable to move, Zook shoved it in her chest again, which made her go limp. He looked into her eyes, moved around to try to see if she could fake it this well that she was staked, but her eyes were unable to move, but he knew that she was able to see him. He gets help from others to move her to another wooden table. Her arms were raised above her head, but her legs and waist were still forced down.